We often look up to the stars for answers, but we are suggesting you might look down for a change. We are handing you a terrestrial telescope and inviting you to go ground gazing with us. What do you see? Cropped plants, ink spots of water, open mounds of tufted earth. Dive deeper, there is a world beneath. A festival of exchange, a body that brings balance. Peatlands are rich constellations where we can discover ancient histories, cultural heritage, and essential ecosystems. Their wisdom can help us to learn more about the world we live in and how to make it a better place together. Hi, and welcome to Life Force, the fourth episode in a Bogcast series made for Peat-Fest Southwest. In this episode, the sun rises, marking the beginning of a new day. Dawn might be part of a daily rhythm, but today's dawn is never the same as yesterday's. In the 3.7 billion years that life has been on Earth, humans, in a mere few hundred years, have caused significant harm to the planet they live on. Temperatures are rising, and changing climates make conditions more difficult for ecosystems to thrive. But over the din of disaster, courageous voices cry out. These voices get louder, and though the climate remains in crisis, the voices won't quiet until change happens and balance is restored. This week, we will explore the voices that have fought for change and taken action against the climate crisis. We will learn how small actions taken to restore and advocate for peatlands have contributed to a greater force for hope and change, and we will look at how we can all become part of this movement.
I'm going to sample the water of the local stream, and that sample will go into a big project collecting the data about how our stream is doing.
Tuesday and Wednesday I'll volunteer at Devonport, Stoke and Stonehouse Food Larder, where we distribute lots of free food to lots of different people.
I like stretching my clothes when they're too big.
Me and my friend went to the beach and at the sea we saw some rubbish in it, so we picked it up.
We have installed a pond for wildlife in our garden, and already the dragonflies are appearing.
My name's Carol, and I repair my clothes instead of throwing them away.
What does peatland activism mean to me? What it means to me is being part of a community, really. I think RE-PEAT is a really strong community as an organization, as a collective in itself. You know, I have these strong relationships with people from countries I've never been to, where our relationship is genuinely originates from just this kind of shared passion for some sort of strange kind of soil. And that's a very unusual and precious thing.
In our collective, we've often talked about activism, and I think making art is a form of activism, but it's not the sort of activism that currently gets you arrested, and it's not the sort of activism that makes people uncomfortable to get involved. So I've seen people who care deeply about the climate emergency, but through whatever in their lives, they're unable to participate in a march. Either they don't feel safe, or they feel like they don't want to challenge authority in that way, or whatever it happens to be. When you are activist through the arts or through your making, I think you welcome people in a different way. and you're inviting a dialogue. You're not kind of creating these really hard barriers between yourself and other people. You're inviting a conversation or a dialogue or an invitation to participate.
When I think about art as activism, I think about firstly the Moss Carpet project that Art and Energy were doing, and coming together as a group, and it being an example of how small actions can have a wider impact if we all take action and join together. As a landscape artist, for me, it's always my aim to make the viewer of my work feel that they're present in a landscape. I'm usually painting views in national parks, trying to encourage the idea of acknowledging, celebrating and protecting our outdoor spaces.
I'm from Swanage Skate Park Community Project, and today we've just got a stall to talk to people about progress of our project. We've raised enough money now for Phase 1 build in Swanage Skate Park. Ramps are expected to arrive in our skate park over the next month, and we're continuing to fundraise for Phase 2. So we're intending to fully fill the space with equipment that everyone can enjoy, all abilities, and just create progression and fun and flow in the skate park. Youth services are not funded very well at the moment. There's a big need for places like the skate park to help young people connect. So they're like the driving force behind it all, really. Being in that space, it is a great connector. There are like some teenagers who've been able to connect with Planet Purbeck, for example, and got some paid work from it, just because it puts you in a space with a bunch of people that you might not cross paths with, and other kind of walks of life. And I think the skate park is like, it's tarmac. It's not nature, but it's situated in King George's in Swanage, which is surrounded by nature. So for everyone, maybe spending time in nature isn't necessarily going to a wildlife park. It might be coming to the skate park where you've got beautiful trees surrounding that area, a stream where there are like wildlife surveys going on, and it's kind of incremental. It's offering a different experience or like a touch point for somebody.
Let's go with one more. Why are the connections that we're forming today so important?
Well, community is important for us all. We need people, we need our connections, and we need connections with our environment.
Yeah. Because
that is our future too, and so the more we can connect with each other and our environment, the better it will be for all of us.
The national park have voluntary wardens, and they have volunteers, and they have rangers. Every second Sunday at Hay Tor, the ranger and voluntary wardens work with a group of 23 volunteers, adults right down to younger people who are on various Duke of Edinburgh schemes, to things like litter pick. We have recently restored and widened the route from the car parks up through to the quarry.
Youth Rangers have been out last summer, and they were working with the Peat-Land Partnership and Headwaters Project, and they spent some time up on the moor just looking at the projects that the different organisations had been involved in, and then they got their gloves on and their wellies on, and they got stuck into creating some leaky dams, so that with the aim obviously of slowing the flow and stopping the water flooding downstream.
We are a specialist wetlands and ecological contractor based up in Gloucestershire, but we cover pretty much a UK-wide area. So we have a particular focus on wetlands, which is what has brought us to this peatland restoration site.
So this is known as what's the southern peat area, and the whole idea of the job we're doing here is to redirect water out of excavated ditches back across areas where they've done peat depth samples, and the peat has been recorded here, and ultimately where the trees have grown up through because the peat has dried out, which has allowed the trees to grow, which then draws more water out of the peat and then has that compounded effect to degrade the peat.
Yeah.
So what we've done here is we've removed the regen trees, which is predominantly silver birch in this instance, And then we've filled the ditches in the sense that as the rainy season comes and the water levels rise, the diverted water then comes back out across the wet areas, and then sort of stops that regrowth of the millennia, stops the regrowth of the trees because they don't generally like particularly wet areas, and then that will then help to re-establish the sphagnum and continue the growth of the peat.
It's really important for a contractor like us that we have young people coming into the industry who are keen to engage and learn. In this day and age, it's not for everyone. We're here on a lovely sunny day with a great view and it's wonderful, but we mustn't forget a lot of the year it's cold, it's dark, it's raining, and it can be hard work. So it's not a lovely comfy job in an office. But for those that do want to come in, there are numerous routes you could take. And I think it's really important we get this message out there, because a lot of people don't even know that a job like us exists. The careers advisor at school is never going to tell you you can sit in a digger and restore peatlands. In fact, they may even try and put you off diggers and big machinery and say you don't want to get a job on a site.
There are some obstacles in the way of people engaging with climate issues, especially with peatlands that are less familiar landscapes to a lot of people.
Like, since moving to the city, I found it's pretty easy to disconnect from natural cycles and stuff. Like, it's the classic thing, once you move to a city, you always forget when to wear a raincoat, for example.
Children get to a certain age, around 10 or 11 years old. Prior to that, they really care about the environment and they care about nature, and they communicate outwardly a lot about how much they care about it. When they become teenagers, at that point, their views become more internal and about themselves. And although they care, they don't vocalise as much as they did. So it's a real challenge. It's called the values perception gap. And basically children at that age, to be able to continue to become an activist, they need a lot of nurturing.
People might feel disconnected from climate issues, but they can also have misunderstanding about what being an activist means and think it only refers to sort of big, loud action.
I mean, my view of an activist would have been somebody that sort of causes a problem, or gets in the way, or does something through, that they have well-meaning but causes disruption to everyday life.
But activism can be bigger or smaller actions, and both of these are extremely important.
Hi, my name is Bruce and I do litter picking.
Well, I'd never really considered what we do as a contractor to be activism. I mean, we do it because we believe in it and we think it's worthwhile and we think it's the right thing to do. But now you've said it, it makes me wonder a bit how this is tied in with the bigger picture of activism.
It's sort of nice to have that thought now that, we could be classed as a positive activist. Very proud of the work we do, and I'm pleased to be involved and very lucky to be involved in all the projects we have been. Certainly over the last few years for the Dorset Peatland Partnership, I think we've delivered 7 or 8 sites now, which is more than any contractor combined.
I've lost all my family. I could sit at home. I've lost my children. I've lost my husband and my sister and everything. And I could sit at home and be totally miserable and upset. They would not want me to be like that. And this keeps me going, makes me get up in the morning. I'm far too busy. It's ridiculous, but it keeps me alive, keeps me going. So if you're doing these sort of things, you feel good about yourself. It's as much good for you as it is for the people you're doing it for. So get out there and do it.
And then there's that moment of bringing someone to a peatland for the first time, or telling someone that their local dog walk is actually through a peatland and what that means, and getting excited about that on their behalf and seeing a glimmer in their eye or a smile from seeing this guy get all worked up about this.
Well, it all started back when I was probably 5 or 6. I knew I was going to be driving machinery. I knew exactly what I wanted to do ever since I was, went through school. And as soon as I left school at 16, I registered self-employed and, become a machine operator for a civils and earthworks company. And then I sort of got friendly with various people through social media and transitioned from, sort of a construction base into a de-veg/forestry role, which then, sort of lent me into the environmental contracting, utilising the same machinery, but in a more of a restorative way, as opposed to a, commercial felling operation or commercial clearance of forests and things like that.
You can see the sphagnum
just
starting to come back in here.
That can really change your behaviour as well. If you have that kind of feeling of, oh, this is important, and like this is actually like a really cool thing that's in my neighbourhood, then I think genuinely that would make you think, oh yeah, well maybe I will like try out that volunteer group that I've seen the old poster for on the gate.
Twice swallows my wellies, my breath, yet hope finds me here. Mouth a furrowed O, shrunk back tongue. I am dumb, I am holy, I am sorry, big, grim, gorgeous bog.
My name is Gretel, I'm 11 and I recycle material and make my own clothes.
I take my broken items to a repair cafe in order that they might last longer.
I want to beg my dad, even when it's raining, to go on my scooter to help the pollution go down.
We have reached the end of Life Force, our 4th Bogcast episode. Thank you for coming ground gazing with us and discovering the wonderful world beneath. We look forward to seeing you next time for a Bogcast where we will hear about the stories and lore surrounding peatlands and how these can help us forge deep understanding of and connection to these landscapes. Thank you to Callum Dykes from CD Forestry and Environmental and Tom Hyde from JPR Environmental for their contribution to this episode. Throughout the episode, you heard people speaking on the tardigrade telephone as part of the Mossy Carpet project, telling us about the positive climate actions they are taking. It is a pleasure to hear the big and small things people are doing to help the planet. This episode featured an extract from The Earth's Thirst by Vanessa Kasule, who is a member of Hot Poets, a climate science and poetry organisation. Thank you to them for their amazing work. We feel privileged to have been able to make this podcast with funding from the Heritage Lottery Fund. Special thanks to everyone who spoke to us and helped to make this happen, to the Art and Energy Collective and RE-PEAT, to all the other wonderful organisations involved, including Southwest Peatland Partnership, Dorset Peatland Partnership, the Avalon Marshes Partnership, the National Trust, RSPB, Wildlife Trusts, Dartmoor and Exmoor National Parks, Planet Purbeck, Cornwall National Landscape Team, and thank you to Otis Jordan for the beautiful music you heard. And of course, to you for listening.